My name's Viz. I'm a 3-7 Records artist, and I'm from Austell, Georgia. Born and raised here.
This is cool and all because we got to go to middle school together.
Yeah.
We went to high school together,
Yeah.
and it's cool. It's always been cool for me to see you pursue what you've always wanted to do. Regardless of what you were doing at the time, you always made time for what you really liked, and I guess that's one of the things that I admire the most. So just walk me through a little bit of how your upbringing was and what brought you to fall in love with music in general.
I'm laughing because we started off in my basement on this. It was like an app called Audacity on an HP laptop that was like $50, and everything was distorted. And I remember my brother came home. He had saw us rapping, like just with a trash mic, and he saw us and he was like, "Damn." He came home with a Rode mic. That was like the first official mic with a Scarlett Audio, and he was like, "Here, y'all can use this." And bro, every day I was down there with my cousins trying to push out a tape that never dropped. It never dropped. They never dropped. It was the funniest thing ever. But we were down there putting in hours, and then time kept going, and I guess I started getting more serious when things around my house started getting really bad. And I felt like that was really when I started to tap into getting better at writing. It was a way to filter out all the stuff that was traumatizing me at the time. You feel me? So, and I always had like a lot of anxiety when I was in middle school and high school. So I think that it also helped me flush that out in a way. So I clinged on to music and I just like started getting better at it, like better at writing. And then my brother, he moves back because he was in college at the time. So he moves back to the Smyrna area, and he bought the Apollo, which is like a better interface, and he bought the Shure mic, and I was like, damn. And we recorded my very first project, which I know to most people like it's not that good, but to me it just like it encapsulates the wants. Like even though the quality might not be there, it was like the work ethic was there and wanting to do it was there. The passion was there behind the pen, you know? And we went to go shoot a music video for it. It was called Austell's Finest. But that music video was just it was a disaster, bro. It was a disaster because like the quality was it was so bad. But I mean, we still pushed. And I think that I started noticing that everything that kept coming my way, even though it wasn't the best, I kept trying to make the most out of it. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way, that they're not dealt the best cards, but they still try to make the most of what they have, you know, and they still try to progress. And if you keep progressing, you like push over into that next boundary. So we had he had eventually bought me my own setup, which I'm forever grateful for, bro. And when he bought me my own setup, I was like, now is the time to get even more serious because now there's no excuse. Now it's just on me. You know?
Let me stop you right there. What did that mean for you? I think what what was the little kid Christos inside of you feeling when he was handed his first interface, his first Apollo or his first mic? Like, I understand that, yeah, you were going through a lot in your household,
Yeah.
and it was crazy because a lot of it you never really, well,
Yeah, I never really
nah,
spoke about it.
like I didn't
Yeah.
find out until after high school, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But what did those small little things that money could buy mean to you, the Christos who wanted to use music to kind of drown out the kind of noises that he was hearing in his household?
I think that it helped me split my personality into two people. So I know that to everybody else, I was Christos, but when I was in that room behind closed doors, I was Viz. And I was only Viz. And Viz was powerful, like not afraid, not didn't have anxiety, like was fearless, was stronger, was like, you know? And so when I would get these things, it felt like being handed tokens to move on to the next level. It was almost like a kid opening up a gift that he really wanted for Christmas. Cause I didn't really care about any gifts that I was given, but when it came to music stuff, like that's what mattered the most. Cause it was like, yes, like this is really good and I'm good at it. and I love it so much. So yeah, that's a good question, man.
Yeah. So I'm just sorry. I'm just still trying to process it. I'm trying to step into your shoes for a second and kind of go through what you were going through.
Yeah.
What was that?
Top 5 albums.
Top
Yeah, I
five
guess-
albums, bro. That's like the hardest thing to answer. I'm not gonna lie, cause I love a lot of music, and so I think that my top 5 albums. I know that Astroworld is on top because it's just so good for me. The Dark Side of the Moon's on there because it's so ambient and experimental that I love it. I would pick the Doors album. They're a band, they're a psychedelic band, but honestly, I can't decide on an album for them. But if I could, I would pick them somewhere in there, and also Pop Smoke Meet the Woo, the first one, because I feel like that album really it shifted the way I saw music. Like he made me more confident, and I'll never get to tell him that, bro. But shout out Pop Smoke, bro, because I listened to that album and it was like it was raw. Him and X's album, the 17 album, like those two albums back to back, those meant a lot to me at that time, and they like influenced the sound that I'm pushing out right now, because they took like bad shit and they just made it really good.
Yeah. Was there ever like an end goal with you in music? Like, was there ever like, I understand that at the time you were doing it, again, to drown out what was going on in your household, but was there ever an alternative motive that pushed you to keep going with music?
I think that once I have, speaking from now, because I think that now most of that trauma doesn't bother me anymore as much as it used to. So now I think that I look out into the world and I see that I do it for everybody that wanted to chase a dream back home, but just like quit, like just gave up, you know? And you know that story too, because I know that you work hard in the things you do, you know? So we're right here, but majority of people, like, they didn't push that extra mile, bro. So every time I look out, I feel like I'm doing it for them and for everybody that's counting on me, you know? And I can't fold. And it gets me up and it makes me just work harder. And if I ever feel like a sense of doubt in my mind, like I just start making a beat and I start rapping and I just keep going. And so I feel like now I'm walking with trying to create a greater purpose for everybody else. And that's really the way I move now. So yeah.
You talked earlier about kind of like defeating the odds, right? Like you kind of dealt with the hand of cards,
Yeah.
and we kind of have to make the most out of it, but at the same time kind of make sure that we're not dealing the same cards to our kids, or dealing the
Yeah.
same cards to, like, making sure that we kind of change the direction that we were supposed to be going in to chase something that was tenfolds better than what our parents had, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that? I think especially I think your parents are immigrant for your
Yeah.
first gen.
Yeah, well, first of all, both my parents are immigrants, so they came here with nothing, and my mom was the head of the household. She was the one that was kind of bringing in the money. So my dad was working, but along the way, he just kind of his hustle got out hustled by my mom. So I love my mom for that. I know that she's like, I should have let him X, Y, and Z, but so really the superhero in the story is my mom. So, because we had almost lost our house back in '08, and I feel like, and she tells me this every time, she was like, if I didn't do nothing about it, we would have lost it, you know, and I think that seeing that I didn't come from nothing, I didn't come from no money, my family doesn't own no company, I don't have nothing. I came here with nothing. So, to look around and be like, I don't have anything, so I treated it internally as I got nothing to lose. And so it's like, I just have the world to gain. So what's going to stop me? And so I think that people should feel that where we come from, because it's like, what are they going to take from you? You already don't have anything. So there's nothing to be afraid of. You might as well go and try the impossible, you know?
I feel that. I think to an extent, right? Because it's like, for people who are parents, I mean, they can, it's like, at least for my own experience, it's like my parents, they gave up my mom had a degree. She was a nurse in Mexico. She came
Yeah.
here, she loses it, right?
Yeah, I know that.
My dad, he had to lose what he wanted to do to come here and work construction for 20 years, right? No one wants to
Yeah.
work construction.
No.
And like, it's like for people like them who can't really stand up to anybody else, like there's a bunch of people who I know that are being taken advantage of because they can't just say anything to their boss because then they could just lose their job, and then to find another one is going to be a huge problem of getting deported,
Yeah.
X and Y and Z.
Every time. Man.
So what do you think, or I don't know, am I, how I want to kind of say it is like First Gen has a decision, right? It's not mandatory. No one's pushing them to do anything,
Yeah.
but it's like they have a decision, right?
Yeah.
Either we kind of level off and say, okay, I'll pick up where my parents left off, and that's where I'm staying
Play it
at,
safe.
or I go and I become something who I wasn't even supposed to be to begin with, you know,
Yeah.
coming from a low income.
I agree, man. I agree. I think that any true firm believer in God fears no obstacles. So I know that people, they like to play it safe. Is that what you're alluding to? That some people like to play it safe,
Mhm.
right? I don't know. I think that life is too short to play it safe. I think that if we're given the opportunity and the choice to go down a different path, that we should go down that different path. Because where are you gonna look back in 70 years from now, 80 years from now, that you didn't go do that, and then grow old and bitter? You know, because I
Mhm.
know people like that that grew old and bitter, and so they try to put that into other kids, and they put fear into these kids, but that's their fault. They made that choice. They made that decision. You know, so I encourage everyone that feels that way to take that opportunity, and it might suck in the beginning. Don't get me wrong, it's not gonna be great. You're gonna start off from bare nothing with nobody around, and it's just gonna be you and your work, and it's up to you to like push it to that next level because nobody's gonna be around to help you in the beginning. But if you keep going and you keep working at it, you'll come out on top. You just gotta keep going, man. But so yeah, that's the way I feel about
Yeah. No.
it.
Yeah. Let's go. Is there anything you wanted to add? A question?
You got a question, bro?
You got a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a question.
Tell me about your album coming.
Oh, the album cover. The album cover happened by accident. We had set up a photo shoot, and I remember my homie Lenny. He pulls up, and so we're setting it all up right in the basement, like where the studio is now, and so we're taking pictures behind a green screen, and we're like, these are cool or whatever. I go to change the song because I was playing him the album like that is unreleased, and he snaps a picture from the side, and I was like, and I remember I said it as a joke. I was like, that's the album picture. And then we had gone through all the photos, and that one was just the one that stood out the most, man. And it captures the essence of like just being isolated in your own work, and also trying to show that even though it's lonely and shit sucks and you have to make a lot of sacrifices, that it still produces a really beautiful product. I don't know how else to put
I can't wait to hear it.
it.
He hasn't
Yeah.
even let me hear the fucking album. I haven't heard it yet.
I know, yeah, I know. I'm still mixing it because I produce, I rap, and I mix and engineer it now. So it's a whole process, bro. So I'm like kind of tired. That's why I got these glasses on. my eyes are like terrible right now.
Yeah.
man.
I got one.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Why Viz?
Why Viz?
That's true.
It was an omen, bro. I had caught it around middle school when I had first started making music. It just, the word vision kept popping up, like it just kept showing up, and I wasn't. And I remember at the time I was looking for a rap name because I was like, my first rap name was whack as fuck. It was like I went by Cyrano. Like that shit was so ass, bro. Like I'm so glad like I didn't go with that name. But so I kept seeing Viz, and so I kept seeing Vision, and then my brother came home from college, and he had gave me this frame, and it said Vision on it, and I was like, damn, like that keeps popping up. So I had originally went with Vision, but then eventually I had just cut it off to Viz because I liked the way it sounded and it looked. But like I said, I didn't take on that identity until it was time to show out. Then it was like, am I really him, or am I just like some dude that has that name? You get what I'm saying? But, and I feel like everybody goes through that. You know, it's like, are you really him or are you just, or you know, you're not him?